recommending $671,000. We had new agencies that applied. The recommended budget does not include any new agencies. And further, it includes a reduction of 15% to current agencies receiving funding. So what's in the recommended budget? The budget includes $900,000 for vehicle replacement. It also includes about $775,000 for capital outlay, mostly replacement, throughout various departments. The budget also includes a little over $1 million for minor repairs and maintenance. Over the years, we've made a commitment in the area of technology. This budget continues that commitment with a recommended budget of $746,000. In the area of mental health, the budget continues the same amount of mental health dollars that we have budgeted over the last several years to continue to provide mental health services in our community. The budget also includes $547,000, which is our increase in the foster care board payments. The budget includes an increase of $1.3 million this year for the Board of Education. This is based on our funding agreement. The budget also includes an increase for our community college of $544,000. And finally, the budget includes $916,000 for a 2% cost of living adjustment to be implemented mid-year for our county employees. Now, I'd like to take just a moment to talk a little bit about this. This recommendation came after thoughtful consideration. I understand the fiscal challenges we're facing, but I also have to balance that with we're asking our county employees to do more with less. As I mentioned earlier, we are having a significant problem with recruitment and retention. We're losing employees, well-trained employees, to the private sector and other local governments. One of the recurring themes that we hear is that it's because of base pay considerations. Going forward, I think annually we need to look at base pay and even small adjustments to become competitive in our local labor market. The Department of Labor has a modifier, the cost at which you incur when you have turnover, and that's 30% per salary. Based on the number of positions that were vacated and we recruited for the year ended December 31st, our cost was about $2.7 million to recruit and to train those positions that were vacated last calendar year. That 2.7 is significantly higher than a full year of a 2% cost of living adjustment. I realize that's significant, and this is an important recommendation in support of our county employees. Also included in the budget, departments requested 60 new positions. 29 of those 60 are recommended this evening, and they're all in the area of mandated services. 16 of that 29 are only applicable if the health department continues to provide jail health services. The remaining 13 do not create an increase in county dollars or an increase in our staffing levels. Cape Fear Valley Medical Center has asked for 2 Medicaid specialists to qualify patients for Medicaid in-house. They're going to pay the county share and they'll be housed at the hospital. We're also including 7 full-time adult Medicaid positions, but it's offset by the elimination of an additional 9 time-limited positions. And finally, in the area of the public health department, we have 4 nurses that are currently funded on a contract basis through Medicaid funds. We have had a difficult time having folks remain in those positions. It's a service interruption, and it's difficult for those clinics to be successful. We're transferring those contract positions to full-time positions to increase the productivity in our clinics. That completes the review of our general fund, and I would like to take just a few moments to talk about our solid waste fund. The solid waste fund is an enterprise fund, and as you know, an enterprise fund must generate enough revenue to fully cover the annual operating cost, to cover capital replacement, and also for future construction. Our new solid waste director has spent the last 5 or 6 months reviewing and analyzing our current fee structure. He has recommended a restructure of many of our fees to provide equity between customers and services. Our recommended budget also includes an increase in the household solid waste fee, an $8 increase from $48 to $56. This is an annual fee. This fee has not increased since it was implemented in 1991. The fee was based upon operating cost in 1991. We're having a difficult time covering our operating cost, much less setting aside funding for capital and also future construction. One note is that this $56 fee remains lower than most of our surrounding counties. As you know, the Public Safety Task Force was reactivated several months ago. At a meeting last week, there was discussion about the revaluation loss and how it would affect the revenue for many of the fire districts. The projected loss is about $250,000. A short-term strategy to mitigate the loss is to utilize about $200,000 in fund balance in the Special District Fire Tax Fund. In addition, to also take about $50,000 from the fund balance in the Fire Chiefs Association. This $250,000 would be spread among those fire districts who are going to be impacted from the revaluation loss. I believe this is a prudent short-term measure until a longer-term sustainable and equitable funding formula can be identified through the Public Safety Task Force. The task force will be bringing back recommendations in the spring of 2018. Again, this budget includes some preliminary budget strategies. That process needs to continue July 1 and into future years. And I want to share some of the future strategies that we've already identified and that we'll be moving on. First of all, we'd like to look at realigning our social services group homes. We also would like to look at consolidating our social services and public health departments into one combined human services agency. We also want to divest county property, as well as explore the merger of some of our county functions. Some of our larger departments have their own human resources function, technology, public information, and facilities maintenance. And we believe that we can find some efficiencies and cost savings by merging some of those functions. We also want to look at outsourcing some of our traditional county functions. We will continue over the next year to analyze positions as they become vacant. It's important, though, to continue our investment in technology and also to prioritize our business process improvements by utilizing that business intelligence philosophy. This will help us leverage additional operational efficiencies. And finally, a future strategy that we're already working on. The finance director and management have been working with our financial advisor to develop a sustainable model for capital funding in the future. This model would be a way to finance and fund capital, deferred maintenance, new projects, and be able to do this and remove these costs from the operating budget. It's our goal to bring this model back at the Finance Committee in August. In closing, I do want to emphasize again that we've prepared the budget from the perspective of long-term sustainability. I do believe the county is at risk for future financial costs to be passed down from the state and the federal level. There are some strategies, some cost reduction strategies and cost-effective strategies that have been implemented in this budget process. We need to continue that process by future organizational restructuring and downsizing. This is really the launch to an ongoing path or pursuit of efficiencies. But we really need to be strategic about this. We need to thoughtfully think through all of these measures, and it takes time to do that methodically. I believe our focus needs to be on right-sizing our organization. We need to stabilize and protect our financial position, and we need to create resiliency so that we can weather future financial storms ahead of us. This is the budget meeting schedule. Our first budget session is next Tuesday evening, May 30th. It will be held at 5:30 in room 564. And so, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this ends the presentation. And this is the manager's budget to the Board of Commissioners. And as we move through the process for the board to adopt a budget, we're happy to answer any questions and to provide more details. At our first session, we are going to have our solid waste director, Mr. Roberts, do a presentation and provide some information about the fee restructuring. I do want to take a moment, Mr. Chairman, if I may, and I would really like to thank our department heads and their staff. This has been an extremely challenging budget process, and they prepared their budgets, but then we went back to them many, many times asking for their assistance in reducing their cost, and that's not an easy ask, and each of them rose to the occasion. I also want to thank all of the members of our budget staff who put in a lot of time to create this budget. The county's very fortunate to have a dedicated workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon. And I think this board knew, and I think this community knew that this was going to be a challenging year. We thank you for the presentation of this budget. I think all the commissioners will review that and be ready for May 30th at 5:30 is our work session in room 564. I'm just going to do the June 5th because I think as people out there at 7 o'clock is the public hearing and the work session. The public hearing will take place here in room 118. We will recess and then go to room 564 for the work session. So thank you so very much. I think all the commissioners have received their budget, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that this body is adjourned. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you. We are adjourned.